Pin it on your partner in crime. You want to get out of it by any means. You have no concept of accountability. The West has no concept of accountability. Just look at the corruption. Look at this weaselly character, Uncle Sam. Oh, he's a weasel. Uncle Sam is the most craven, cowardly, unmanly, weaseliest character in the history of nations, honestly. We're on the verge of the great divorce. And I've been telling you that we would see, I've been telling you for a long time now, that we're going to see the floodgates open in terms of that latent, seething, and ever-present Western anti-Jewish hatred. That's why you sent the Jews over there to do it in the first place. That's why. That's why you made your colonial stormtroopers a Jewish brigade, precisely so that you could disavow them when the time came. I saw this coming years ago, and here we are. It's the Jews. I mean, it's our money, it's our weapons, it's our policy, it's our political coverage, it's our bombs, it's our missiles, it's our attack helicopters, it's our support, but it's the Jews. Because it's the henchman who always takes the fall. That's why they set the system up like that. Plausible deniability. And that's why they're going hard in the paint with the blame shifting now. That's why you've got your Candace Owens types, your Tucker Carlson types, and so on, sort of opening the tap on despising Jews in acceptable public discourse. It's transparent. And no, I've said it many times, the Israelis are absolutely responsible for their actions. No question about it. Just like the death squads that Washington unleashed on Central and South America. Just like every hired killer, just like every mercenary is responsible for his crimes. No question about it. The henchmen are responsible for what they do. The hitmen are responsible for what they do. The Nazi guards who were just following orders were responsible for their actions. But that doesn't get their superiors off the hook. That doesn't mean that they're the only ones who are responsible. No. But you see this blame shifting, this emerging narrative, that's by no means a new narrative, by the way, about, Jewish iniquity, Jewish wickedness, Jewish control, that old Nazi narrative. This is emerging anew right now for the purpose of blame shifting. I've talked about it before. But think through what that means. It's deliberate alibi creation by the West. It's cleanup. It's trying to wipe their fingerprints off the crime scene. Well, what does that mean? Well, in court, that would be proof of premeditation and full cognition that what you did was wrong. That you knew what you did was wrong. It means you're in full command of your faculties. There's no insanity defense for you. So you see, it means that you know that these are horrible crimes that you committed. Slavery, lynching, genocide, Zionism. It shows that you know perfectly well that these are irredeemable crimes that you committed. You know right and wrong. That's why you want to distance yourselves. You want to blame shift. You want to disavow. Because you know that what you did is monstrous. But just look at the corruption. Look at the complete absence of character on the part of the West, on the part of the Americans. Because what a decent person would do is repent. A decent person would own up to what they did and repent. They would be contrite. They would be remorseful. They would stop what they were doing and they would try to atone. That's what a decent person would do, and that's what a decent nation would do. But that's not what you do. You try to pin it on someone else. You want to pin it on your partner in crime. You want to get out of it by any means. You have no concept of accountability. The West has no concept of accountability. Just look at the corruption. Look at this weaselly character, Uncle Sam. Oh, he's a weasel. Uncle Sam is the most craven, cowardly, unmanly, weaseliest character in the history of nations, honestly. Whenever the bill comes due for the things that he's done, he tries to slide it under the door. He tries to, slip it under someone else's door and tiptoe away. No. The slave ships in the transatlantic slave trade were captained by men with names like Roberts and Smith, not Bernstein and Rothberg. I mean, how many African Americans do you know today who today, still, until now, carry the family names of their enslaved ancestors' owners? How many of them are named Cohen and Leibowitz rather than Jones or Washington? No. And the Zionist genocide of the Palestinians that's been going on for all these decades, that has been underwritten and it has been overseen by men named Truman, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush again, Obama, Trump, Biden, and Trump again. And every single one of those men have underwritten and have overseen catastrophic violence, war crimes, crimes against humanity, massacres, death squads, drone strikes, invasions, assassinations, coups, overthrows, forced starvation on whole populations, mass murder, torture, and inhuman brutality all around the world. And every single one of those criminals has a statue erected for him in his honor in your country. That's your people. Yes, you know right and wrong. Otherwise you wouldn't try to disassociate yourselves from your evil actions. But that's the only instinct you have when it comes to right and wrong. Self-exoneration, self-preservation. You don't use the knowledge of right and wrong to choose doing right. You only use that knowledge to avoid the consequences of doing wrong. That's what you do with your recognition of what's right and what's wrong. You have no moral hygiene. As long as your reputation can stay clean, you don't care how dirty your actions are. That's the West. See, this is crucial to understand. This shows that you have a commitment, an absolute commitment to wrongdoing. You understand me? It shows that you have a dedication to never changing, never repenting, never taking accountability, never looking your victims in the face and begging for forgiveness. You understand? The whole world looks at America and sees you sitting in the dock of the court, but you keep trying to act like you're sitting behind the judge's bench. You're delusional. Your whole history is a rap sheet. Your whole history is a criminal record. Everyone's memory of you around the world is one giant chorus of indictments and accusations and recriminations, not allegations. No. You've been convicted in the hearts and minds of the people of every country that you ever touched. Meanwhile, you're trying to tell us, you're trying to tell all of the people that you victimized that we're supposed to despise someone else, we're supposed to blame someone else, hate someone else. At this point, you're only gaslighting yourselves. No one believes you. No one's listening to you. On that space, this white supremacist was arguing that white supremacy isn't a thing. And he said, give me an example of white supremacy today in 2025. A question is an example. Your denial is an example of white supremacy. The fact that you think that literally centuries of experience right up until this very moment while I'm speaking right now, the fact that you think that the lived misery of millions of people for hundreds of years, from your racism, your bigotry, your hatred, your violence, your exploitation, your pillage and your plunder, you think that all of that is negated by the power of your denial, the entitlement. You think that we're going to watch you, you think that we're going to listen to you, literally spewing venom against everyone else, against Jews, against Muslims, against so-called black people, against immigrants, against Asians, against Indians, against basically anyone except white Anglo-Saxons, and somehow we're supposed to understand from all of that we got you wrong, and you're really a fair-minded, unbiased believer in human equality. Come on. And if we listen to all of your hatred and understand from that you are in fact a racist, white supremacist, bigoted, mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, hate-filled heathen, if that's what we take, then you'll just say, well, it's because we have low IQs. An example of white supremacy, you're the embodiment of white supremacy. It's the racial equivalent of malignant narcissism. You know, it's that fake superiority of the wholly inadequate, morally inadequate, intellectually inadequate, culturally inadequate, spiritually inadequate, developmentally inadequate, and trying to act superior. The only thing that you excel at is pretending otherwise. And if you interpret what I'm saying, by the way, let me clarify this. If you interpret what I'm saying as so-called reverse racism, no. I'm not even talking about it racially. You are. I don't attach your crimes to your skin color. You do. What I indict are your deeds. But you take that as an attack on so-called white people because you've got that on the brain. I don't. So-called white and so-called black is only a thing because you made it a thing, and you insist on keeping it a thing. That puts you in a position of having to make European and American crimes like it's an inherent aspect of so-called whiteness. So that means that you can't repent from your crimes because you think that that would mean basically admitting that criminality is encoded in your DNA. That's what your sick theories and your ideas and your sick culture did to you. You racialize everything. So you can't even be honest about your history. Because you think that if you're honest about your history, then that would be a racial indictment. So for the sake of defending your so-called whiteness, okay, you either defend or you deny or you dismiss or you shift the blame for all of your horrific and shameful history. You don't have to do that. In fact, you have to not do that. Racialization is a sickness that you inflicted upon yourself, and then you inflicted it upon the rest of the world. So now you feel the need to try to side with, or be loyal to, or align yourself with, literally unspeakable crimes. Just because the people who committed those crimes were wearing the same color skin as you. You created this atrocious notion that so-called race is actually a meaningful classification of human beings, and that it's hierarchical, and that it denotes all of the sorts of qualities and traits that are actually only present in a human being by their conscious choices, not by genetic coding. You know, like the choice to be decent, to be peaceful, or to be indecent, or to be violent, the choice to be kind or the choice to be cruel. You act like this is all based on their skin color. These are not immutable qualities, like your melanin composition or your bone structure. These are from conscious choice. I'm not making an indictment of white people, I'm making an indictment of evil people. But what you hear is white people. So you hear me calling you immutably evil. That's your philosophy, not mine. We're Muslims. We categorize people according to their beliefs and according to their conscious behavior, according to their actions, not by the texture of their hair, or the shape of their nose, or their skin tone. That's ludicrous. So you think that you cannot rebuke the whole brutal history of your countries because you imagine that that would mean you are rebuking your so-called race. But that's very important to you, and therefore you would be rebuking yourself and your whole identity. And that's what makes you integrate that whole brutal history into your identity. You understand? That is as monstrous as it is unnecessary. You can choose to associate yourself with those who do good, those who are just, and those who have been victimized, and those who have been wronged. You can do that. Even if their so-called race is different from yours, and even if their oppressors were from your so-called race. Choosing to align and choosing to affiliate on the basis of values and beliefs and actions. That's what you can do. You can use that as the criteria for categorizing people. That's sensible. And then you'll never be stuck trying to defend horrible behavior. You'll never be stuck trying to justify crimes. You'll never be stuck denying factual history. But see, this is why I've said repeatedly, talking about the West, I've said repeatedly, your culture let you down. Your so-called civilization let you down. They wired their societies. They wired your societies so badly. They programmed you so badly. And it goes so deep that at this point you're basically malware. You know? You enter into a conversation and everybody's antivirus protection software goes off. Threat detected. You're radioactive. You're radioactive and still you act like the solution to your radioactivity is more uranium. Your so-called civilization infected you with so many false ideologies, so many malignant characteristics and traits, so many bad habits, so many mental and thinking disorders, that your civilization doomed you to disgrace. And that's a shame.
It really is. It's a shame.
It's no longer anyone else's problem but yours. This is what you really have to understand. Not only is it not the rest of the world's responsibility to fix you, they're not even obliged to tolerate you. And this goes back to what I talked about before, about the necessity of erecting barriers around yourself and around your discourse and around your interactions.
I have to. I must. Because these people here are ignorant and they don't want to know the truth. Like you said, they are malware. They are of no use. They're no good. Their religion is messed up. Everything they know is wrong because America taught them lies. So everywhere else, we look like fools in the world. That's the truth. But because I told my community that, they trying to kill me. Lord, yes. That shows you how evil they really are. They are truly evil.
And use that as the criteria for categorizing people. That's sensible. And then you'll never be stuck trying to defend horrible behavior. You'll never be stuck trying to justify crimes. You'll never be stuck denying factual history. But see, this is why I've said repeatedly, talking about the West, I've said repeatedly, your culture let you down. Your so-called civilization let you down. They wired their societies. They wired your societies so badly. They programmed you so badly. And it goes so deep that at this point, you're basically malware. You know, you enter into a conversation and everybody's antivirus protection software goes off. Threat detected. You're radioactive. You're radioactive, and still you act like the solution to your radioactivity is more uranium. Your so-called civilization infected you with so many false ideologies, so many malignant characteristics and traits, so many bad habits, so many mental and thinking disorders, that your civilization doomed you to disgrace. And that's a shame. It's a shame. But it's no longer anyone else's problem but yours. This is what you really have to understand. Not only is it not the rest of the world's responsibility to fix you, they're not even obliged to tolerate you. And this goes back to what I've talked about before, about the necessity of erecting barriers around yourself and around your discourse and around your interactions. Because right from the outstart, on that space that I was listening to, that white supremacist, on that X space, he was, and obviously he was a bad faith actor. Not only do these types of people not want to engage sincerely in discussion, they don't even have the ability to do so. They're not capable of sincerity. And no one should feel reluctant about muting those people. They're disruptive. Like I said, the way they engage is tactically designed to try to undermine rational discourse. You need to get them out. Understand, no one is entitled to be in your conversations. No one is entitled to inject themselves and inject their nonsense and inject their aggressive ignorance into your mind. I said they're radioactive. They should be quarantined. Understand? They have lost the privilege of participating in serious discussions. They've lost the privilege of being listened to. For Muslims, for people in the global south, for people who are genuinely serious about social issues, issues of justice, international affairs and so on, humanity, okay, you need to prove your own seriousness by expelling unserious people from your spaces. It's like protecting yourself from the waswasa of shaitan, honestly. It's no different. Build your community. And understand that part of building your community includes knowing who doesn't belong there. Knowing whose presence in your community is destructive and disruptive.
Everybody in
Not
that
letting these kinds of
community
people
is destructive.
come into your spaces.
They
Isn't
all
some kind
are
of
ignorant.
violation of their rights.
They are
No.
malware.
Their invasion and infiltration of your spaces is a violation of your rights. Don't let them contaminate the intellectual hygiene of your discourse. They've got plenty of other places they can go to spew their rancor. So ask yourself, why are they coming to you? Why are they coming to your spaces and your conversations? It's disrespectful, but it's intentional disrespect. You understand? It's actually a test to see whether or not you respect yourself enough to kick them out.
Exactly.
No, don't let them hijack your platform.
Get out!
For their hate and their ignorance and their blame shifting. Don't do that. Don't let your platforms, don't let your discourse, your discussions, your conversations, and so on become vehicles for their propaganda. You're building macro level realities through realities at the micro level. You need to be strict.
Yes,
you need
5D, baby.
You need to be
5D, not
serious.
no
And
more
you need to
3D.
police the quality of what you expose yourself to and what you expose others to through what you allow on your platform. Think about it. Why do you think that these people are coming into our spaces in the first place? Why do you think they're coming onto our platforms specifically? You notice they're coming into pro-Palestinian spaces, trying to spin narratives to exonerate themselves because they're getting squeezed. They're trying to cut a deal with the DA. It's like that. They're coming into pro-Palestinian spaces because they want to cut a deal. They want to get themselves off the hook by making a direct appeal, by making direct contact with the people who are prosecuting the genocide in the public sphere. It's clear as day. That's why they're coming. Otherwise, they would never have condescended to talk to any of us before. Honestly. It's because they're getting squeezed right now. Their feet are to the fire. So now you see white supremacists, racist, Western exceptionalists suddenly showing up in Muslim spaces, suddenly showing up in pro-Palestinian spaces. You and I know that they hate us. They hate people like us. They don't believe in anything that we believe in. But here they are, coming to our doors to plead their case. And because they are so inherently dishonest, so inherently cowardly, they can't even plead their case on the basis of them being good, but on the basis of other people being worse. Understand? Trying to misdirect our anger, trying to throw us off the scent. That's the only reason they're showing up at our doors, on our platforms, in our conversations. You know, you have two types of these. You have the neo-Nazi type, who tells you, that the problem is only the Jews, and then there's that other type, that George Galloway, Scott Ritter, colonizer activist type, the camouflage neocon type, who tells you that the whole problem is the Arabs, and the Arab rulers and so on. These are the same. These two types are the same. All they're trying to do is exonerate America and exonerate the West. Exonerate so-called white people. Honestly. Imagine letting your enemy tell you who your enemy is and you believe him. You must think we're stupid. Truly, you never do right, you only ever gaslight. It's a shame that you're like that, but you are like that. And unless and until you're better, because you should try to be better, but unless until you are better, you have no place at our tables.
All right, that's the truth.